All right, so this is how to plan your very first event with me, your host, Stephanie, the West Campus organizer. So today's agenda, we're just going to give a brief introduction of what the point and purpose of this training is, talk about setting your goals, planning and funding for that event, advertisement, and execution of that event. So, introduction. So, planning your first event is honestly a really big deal, whether your chapter is a new one or if you're a very well-established one. Typically, as a new chapter, planning your first event can seem a bit daunting because you may not have a good idea of where to start, or your chapter is still really small, you don't know what kind of event you want to host, or you just don't know, what to do when it comes to planning one, like what speakers to reach out to, who to ask when it comes to like booking venues and that sort of thing. So, this is what the point of this training is to kind of give you a little bit more details of when it comes to planning this event down to setting your goals, getting it paid for, securing a location for it, and then just giving you some tips and tricks on how to do all that properly so you could host a really smooth and awesome first event. So step one would be obviously setting your goals. Setting your goals is the first thing you should always do when it comes to planning an event. If you're even thinking about maybe hosting an event, you're not completely sold on it, regardless, still go ahead, set some time away so you could focus on setting those goals for it. So make sure that you also have some reasonable goals for what you want out of this event so you could have a clear picture of what to expect from it. And some questions I do recommend for you to discuss with your group members would be the following. So like, what impact do you want your event to have? What is the purpose of it? What do you hope to get out of it? What does success look like to you? And what do you expect, for event attendance? So when it comes to, setting these goals, these could be centered around a speaker event, maybe a group related event when you want to take a field trip somewhere, or maybe an on-campus recruitment event so you could get more members involved. But regardless of what it is, these questions should be discussed and answered amongst your chapter. And once you decide the kind of event and what the goals are for it, then we could move on to planning and funding that event. So this step is really crucial and does take some brainstorming, but it's honestly pretty fun because the choices of types of events you can have are endless. So on to the next one. So planning and funding. So obviously planning and funding are going to be really two crucial steps when it comes to getting this event started. So please reach out to your campus organizer, whether it's me or if it's Chase. We are able to provide you a bit more guidance on the questions you may have of what it takes to plan this event. And we also have experience helping students plan things like this. So please do reach out to us. We love helping you all out, making sure everything is as easy as possible for you. So honestly, that is step one. If you have an event in mind, do let us know. We could hook you up with all like the details and stuff that you'll need. So once you reached out to us and you kind of have a good idea of what the type of event it is you want to host, then it is very important for you to choose your team. So you will need to have more than one person to help you out in order to properly execute your plan. If you do not delegate these tasks accordingly, you will become overwhelmed and it is very likely that things will not go as planned. So if you are the president or an officer and you're trying to do all of this on your own, I guarantee you it's going to be tough and you're not going to have fun. So, the purpose of your chapter members being a part of the group is for it to be a group effort. So right here, I have listed just some positions you could delegate to like different members in the chapter. So that could be, the event coordinator, someone that's kind of in charge of overseeing what everyone's doing, logistics coordinator, people in charge of the venue management, making sure they have all the supplies purchased and like, rent it out for the day of the event. Communications director. There's always someone in the chapter that loves using social media and getting really artsy fartsy with posts and stuff like that. Communication director is an awesome position for them to get. Then there's tech coordinator. If you need someone to run the tech during the event, that would be like lighting, PA system, projections, and making sure recording is in place. And there's also, fundraiser. So obviously that could go to more than one person, but fundraising, having a separate role for that in your event planning is super important because that is how you're going to get the dough needed for this event. So once you have, your team members set, what they're part of, and you brainstorm the kind of event that you want to host, ask yourself, is this the type of event that you need a speaker? If you do need a speaker, do reach out to us and like let us know about the theme. So the goals that you want to achieve for the speaker, the perspectives you would like to have presented, and that sort of thing. So when it comes to discussing the type of speaker event, do go ahead and poll your members, list some suggestions of what you want to talk about. It could be some current news, or it could be on a specific book that maybe the speaker wrote about that you're interested in, that sort of thing. Go ahead and narrow it down and make your choice. If you already have a speaker in mind and you know how to get in contact with them, that is super awesome. But if you're not sure where to go, SSA does have a speakers bureau. Just kind of lists a bunch of different speakers that are associated with SSA and have helped us out in the past, whether it's like social justice issues, politics, that sort of thing, literature. There is a speaker there that, of course, I think will catch your interest. So please do let us know these details in advance so then we could coordinate for you to reach out to that speaker and pitch them the idea of potentially presenting on your campus. Of course, if it is not a speaker event, we could go ahead and disregard the step, but a lot of chapters, their very first event will typically be a speaker event. And, oh, sorry about that. I skipped a few pages there. So planning and funding. Okay, so cool. So once you do have your speaker set, then you will need to settle on a few dates. So if you have the speaker set that you want to have hosted, or if you know the other type of event you want to plan. So if it's a recruitment event, speaker event, whatever it is, make sure you do have at least 3 different dates that the venue could work with and that the speaker could potentially work with. And also try to choose dates where you'll likely have a better turnout and stick to times of day where students aren't so busy. So that's making sure that there's no conflict between classes and work for the majority of your members and in campus in general. So cool. So once you have settled on a date, the type of event, have secured a speaker, then it's very important to choose a venue. So once that date has been confirmed, go ahead and request that venue space as soon as possible. So one thing we do recommend is to book a space that'll accommodate less people than expected, just because that way, if you have a smaller turnout than expected, the room will still look a bit more full. And of course, when you're taking pictures of the event, a full venue that's like a little packed will definitely look better than like a really big one that is empty. And of course, when it comes to choosing that venue, these venues on campus specifically are usually free for students, but of course you will need to double check on that. But I think like 99% of the time that I've like checked these out for students, there's usually no fee associated with that. So in terms of, getting that secured, there will also be some paperwork associated with that as well. You can't just go in there, choose a day and leave. That paperwork will be usually something simple, potentially signing some sort of waiver, taking a safety assessment test, whatever those requirements are, make sure you complete them all so that way your booking of that venue does not get mixed up, lost, or accidentally deleted. And, once that venue is set, your speaker is set, the date is set, and everyone knows what they're going to do leading up to this event, then we could go ahead and focus on event funding. So make sure you have all those costs written down. Those costs, of course, can include potential venue cost, staffing, money for snacks, refreshment. If you are hosting a speaker event, they will typically ask for some sort of honorarium, travel, lodging, food, that sort of thing. So make sure everything associated with this event is listed on some sort of spreadsheet giving you a total. So then that way you know what number you're working with and how much you'll need to fundraise, ask for, and just have a better idea when you're pitching in order to get the money. So these are the 3 that we will be focusing on, which is school funding, chapter fundraising, and SSA grants. So the first one that we always recommend, whether you are hosting an event or you're doing something else, is always look for school funding. So most schools have funds set aside for registered student organizations. If you go online, usually on these RSO portals, there'll be some sort of form or a grant proposal you'll need to fill out. But trust, there is dough in these schools that they're just willing to hand out to students, especially if they're hosting on-campus events. And of course, if you're not really sure how to approach that or where to even look, we do have a guide that'll kind of help you navigate the process a bit better. And a lot of other students are also familiar, so definitely ask your members. Maybe they know how to do it, but if you don't, have no worries. We're here to help you out. And of course, there's also fundraising. So let's say school funding doesn't cover all the costs associated with this event. You will have to do some fundraising on your end. So that could be, hosting a little bake sale, food sale. I noticed those are really, really popular. Students in general just love food, and it's one of the easiest things to set up because this is something you could do while you're tabling, trying to get more students. You could sell your little snacks and also gain more members and promote the event. Another one that I do recommend are membership fees. So usually these fees are generally pretty cheap, between like $5 and $10. I've noticed some presidents charge these at the beginning of each semester, and honestly, $5, $10 does not seem like a lot. But if you do have large membership, it's consistent. This money that you are gaining throughout the year can definitely help out when you're planning your event, or even for any other thing that you want to do, like buy pizza for a meeting, that sort of thing. And of course, another one I do recommend is collaborating with local groups. So local groups with similar interests will always be willing to help in some way, whether it's monetarily, which obviously what we want the money, but if they can't, they'll usually pitch in another way. For example, recently our SSA chapter at Sacramento State, they were able to host Dr. Darrell Ray on October 12th, and they needed some money. They needed to reach their fundraising goal. So they reached out to local groups out there. For example, California Free Thought, they always host California Free Thought Day the first weekend of October. The president of the chapter reached out to them and was like, hey, I'm an SSA chapter. I'm really looking forward to hosting Dr. Del Rey, but I need some money. That simple pitch to them in an email, it got them about like $250, $300. So it doesn't hurt to reach out to these groups and letting them know what you're going to do, because they really just in general love supporting, young activists that have like plans for secularism and things like that. So always a good way to get money. And of course, if you want to do just a general year-round fundraising page, there is Give Lively, which is something that we as campus organizers will help you set up. Give Lively is specifically made for nonprofits, so there is no money that's taken from what you are able to raise, like GoFundMe, which typically takes like around $10 off for every 100. Give Lively, all that money goes to you, and it's for you to use for your event or whatever it is that you need it for. And if you are still short on money, fret not, we do offer grants. So SSA grants, they are fund reimbursement based, so you make sure to keep the receipts in order for you to get that money back. But if you do visit our website and click under FFRF program grants, it'll give you a little bit more detail about what it takes to apply, what you'll need to include in that grant request, and so on. And once that is submitted, we'll go ahead and review it. You will sign a form, detailing that you will, use the money for this and that. And once that's set, you're basically all good to go, and your event is fully funded. So that's always super exciting, because, once the money is locked down and all the details in terms of venue, what the event is, who the speaker may be, and what your members are doing, you're basically set and good to go to start advertising your event. So once it's all set and you have a good idea of what everyone's doing, you know where the money's coming from, you will need to focus a lot of your energy on advertisement. So if you want to have a really good turnout, then you will need to advertise as much as possible. That will mean creating some flyers, some posters to hang around on campus, maybe in creating some small handouts and handing those out personally to students during your free time, or during, tabling events that your chapter is a part of. So these little interactions will definitely boost attendance rate. So I highly, highly recommend them. And of course, social media is your best friend. If there's anyone on your chapter that loves social media or is in charge of the chapter's social media, this is the role for them. Make sure that you do have a post for every social media platform that your chapter is on, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is. Make sure that there's a post and have your members engage with that post, because usually the more engagement there is with a post, the likelihood of it reaching other people is very high, especially on platforms like Facebook. So definitely recommend that. And if you want to get a pretty good idea of who is going to attend, then I do recommend setting up some sort of RSVP system. For example, Eventbrite, it's really easy to do. It's something you set up online, and you could also have linked to in like the flyers and social media posts that you do have, have that Eventbrite link in there, have people RSVP. You'll get a good idea of who is going to attend and how many people more or less. So that's always exciting. And this should be focused on at least a month prior to the event. That's what your energy should go to, is just advertising, advertising, advertising. Of course, if you want SSA to help out and you have a graphic that you want us to share, we'll be more than happy to do so. So please go ahead and send like any graphics like for advertising for your event our way, and we will help you promote it as well. Cool. So once you're all set in terms of funding, your venue, your members, what the event's going to be, and you have your advertising plan set, then this basically leads up to event day. You've been preparing for this day for the past few months. Make sure you get there early to set up and you're communicating actively with all your members, the speaker if you're going to have one, and the venue that you plan on hosting this event as. Everything should go smoothly as possible because everyone at this point should know what they're doing. The time of the event has already been set. The speaker knows what they're going to do, where they're going to go. You know, Posters have been posted everywhere. Take things slow, take it calm. Event day will go smooth. And, if something does happen, it's usually very, very minor, but it's always good to remain calm on event day because you've been working on it for like the past 4 to 5 months. So should all be chill. And of course, after event day, the big day, there is the post-event evaluation. This does not have to be immediately after the event day, because I know, once things are wrapped up, you just want to go home, thank the speaker if you had one, just kind of hang out, just, clean up. So this is something that you should do, I think, on like the following meeting that you'll have with your members. So during this post-event evaluation, discuss these questions with your members, like how did the event go? Were there any hiccups? Did this event meet your expectations? Why or why not? Did everyone do what they were assigned to do? What did you do well on? And what can you improve on? So this is a learning experience, whether it is your first event, your sixth, 10th, or whatever number event, there's always something you can learn from the event prior. So if something didn't go as great as you want it to be, that is totally fine. There's always next time. Like no matter the outcome of this event, we always encourage students to try again and, host as many events as they want because this is something that you will just get better at over time and planning events will just come smoothly for you. So of course, take the time to discuss this with your members and see how y'all could improve on better or what to focus on next for like your next event. And of course, there is the Excellence in Organizing Award that SSA does offer. So each month, the campus organizing team we will read through organizing reports that chapters do submit. So let's say you hosted like, your very first speaker event, you did a little recruitment event, and another separate private event just for your chapters. Please let us know about that. You could write a little report of what the outcome was, how many people attended, just how things went, and, submit that to us. We'll take a look at it, and, then we'll just choose from amongst those reports, who had such an awesome one. And typically we'll like reward the chapter with like $100 gift card or a little something like that. But do take advantage of this Excellence in Organizing Award just because it definitely looks good for the chapter. You will get some free money from us, and it's just something that we like to do for our students and something that we like to, brag about on our end. Like, look at this awesome chapter, like Cal State Long Beach, like look at this awesome event they just hosted. We'll post it all over social media. And in general, this is like a way for us to hype up our students and, like, hey, like, hell yeah, like look at all the cool things they did. So definitely worth checking out. It's super cool. If you do have any questions on like how to submit the report or what to write, do let us know. We could guide you with that as well. But that concludes the presentation on planning your first event. Do you have any questions, Tony, about anything I discussed? Maybe something you want me to elaborate more on, or just something I didn't quite touch on?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, cool.
And
Of course. Yeah, no, that's totally no problem. Of course, more questions will arise on the day you do plan your first event. But if nothing does come up, thank you so much for attending. This session has been recorded, so if you do want to go back to it one day and, kind of brush up on what you need to do for planning an event, this will be available on our YouTube. But
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
thanks so much for attending, Tony. If you need anything from us, just feel free to hit me up. I'm there to help. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome evening and take care.